Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. How's everybody tonight? Hi, Linda. It's nice to see you. I've got my thumbnail. I got their rumors of war. Is it rumors or fact? Mr. T says it's a fact. And when has he ever been wrong? When has he ever misled us? So that's what's so concerning. And who's listening? Who's even paying attention? It seems like nobody's even got it on their to-do list to wonder about what the ramifications of war are. So it's very interesting, and of course we've got more things happening every day with this situation in Kentucky. Right away, everybody pulled up social media, and the person uses pronouns. So it's a strange connection to that movement where people feel the need to identify themselves with this type of behavior, activities, actions, what have you. When are we going to connect the dots on that and call it out? Hi, Nikki, how are you doing? Tennessee, how are you? Zoe, how are you? Bubba, hey, Bubba, how are you? Doc Ghost, Roberto, Sandy, Pappy Two Bears. Let's see, Diamond Lil, how you doing? Doc Ghost, Phil, everybody's coming in. Kathy, Nora, Linda Kirksey, hi, Gary. How are you? Happy Monday, everybody. Wanda. So everybody's making it in. We got Debbie Twinkle Eye 62. How are you? Welcome aboard. Linda Marie. Diane. Wow. Hi, Melinda. So we got Sandy and Starfire. That's a good name. Welcome aboard. So, how many of you all interact with what we call normies? Hi, Finding Dory. How many of you all interact? Hi, Jamie, with normies. Yeah, Jared. See, elites versus the population. Oh, thank you, Starfire. Hi, Mary. So every day, Gary says every day. Is it? I tell you, when I don't broach the subject of Mr. T. I don't broach the subject of the election. I just see if they're going to blurt something out that lets me know that they've got it on their radar screen. And I don't hear anybody worried or mentioning war. And as we know, Mr. T has been saying it quite often and more often. And we get reports, at least some of us are seeing the reports about the situation with Taiwan and China, but you don't see it in the regular news, do you? If you do, it's only in passing. It's not being done in a way so as to alert people of that possibility, other than Mr. T and people like us. Linda Marie says, I work with many daily. Let's see. Pappy says he doesn't interact with normies. They're on their own as far as he's concerned. Yeah, it's hard to deal with them sometimes. Like talking to a brick wall, right? So I don't know. I don't see any concern. I mean, at all. Now, have we got a disservice being done where people are not being informed with these agencies that are supposed to be informing the fifth estate? Haha, Red State's going to go give me a thumbs up. That's right, give me a thumbs up. So, yeah, this is as far as I'm concerned. Mr. T says it's going to be WW3 if we don't make changes, or something that doesn't happen. If a peacemaker doesn't come into the picture, then there's going to be a problem. And I don't know a scenario where Mr. T could become a peacemaker, other than to be elected again. Elected. Yeah, again, because he won 2016, right? The answer is no, Mary said. Don't get anybody hears anything. Gary said most normies don't believe it or see it until it comes to their front door. Well, we'll let that percolate for a bit. What we have domestically, is it just me, or all these past situations with the people going to work or going to schools or going to public places and carrying hardware and doing awful things? You know what I mean? The mass thing. There is a connection between that and identifying as certain people, or feeling the need to identify. And when are we going to realize that that is a national crisis? That's what's so frustrating to people in our level of thinking, where we are in our societal observations. We see what Mr. T's talking about. We understand the consequences of what a World War III would bring, and it's unnerving. And we also see that when you're out in public, you don't know who's going to start popping off. You know what I mean? Popping off. So one eye open, always rotating. Okay, keep an eye on what's going on. See something, say something. It's getting to that point. And normies, it doesn't faze them. If you bring up the transgender philosophy, they go, oh, well, it's up to them. It's, I'm living, let live. But that's not the case, folks. They don't let live. So now we're at with that group, we're at a 44%. They say 44% suicide rate. That's down from 70 plus percent. And the way they got that down was they recruited so many young people with this movement they have infiltrated the schools with. So they are too young and idealistic, very recent converts. But I am afraid that the only road to this kind of a life is that when people start coming of age and realizing what they've done to themselves, that number will go from 44% back up past the 70-some percent. It'll go back to where it was and then some. as far as people committing you-know-what-asides. But then what we'll have an increase in also is people who do these types of things that happen in Kentucky. They're not grounded. They're not psychologically grounded, and they're not grounded in fear of the Lord, understanding of the Lord, and gratefulness for what God has given us. And without that, there's misery. Misery. The wages of sin are death. Let me see. I've said this. Sandy says the only ones hurting are those of us who won't comply. Yeah, well, we don't have to be, we have to be nice, but must be nice to be blissfully stupid. Well, it catches up with you. It catches up with you. Oh, I just got a notification. Hold on. Oh, thank you, Mary. Mary bought me 3 coffees. I appreciate it, Mary. Thank you very much. I want to thank everybody that helped me last week on Buy Me a Coffee. The Lone Wolf, Wanda, and Gary really helped me out. Thank you, Gary. I appreciate it so much. And Aaron, I haven't seen him in the chats lately, but I'm sure he's around. And everybody else that's helped me. I'll put everybody up on the screen that's helped me out in the coffee crowd. I thank you much. So anyway, we've got crises that we see, and we have to try to maintain our level of comfort in trying to enjoy the day and look forward to our future, which is the path that has been set out for us. What we're here for is to be peaceful, prosperous, happy, have our progeny go forward with confidence, and encourage the human spirit to be comfortable. It's hard to do when you've got these kinds of concerns flying around, these rumors of war, actual warnings that we know to be true of war. We know what's happening to young ones, and not just with the transgender movement. We know what has been happening as far as human trafficking. So that can weigh very heavily on us, but we have to stay positive. And as I say, hi, Donna, nice to see you. As I've said many times, that's why it's important to be able to have something about each issue that you can discuss that is realistic and doesn't alienate somebody or drive them away. It's just matters of fact. And I just don't know how bad this scare event is supposed to be. I just don't know how. But there's something coming. Now, I remember Mr. T said that he would be able to end the coming conflict, and the one in Ukraine in 24 hours. But he had to have, he had to be he basically said he had to be president to do it, because of the essence of the presidency, the essence of power. He wouldn't be able to do it unless he was in that unique position. And then within a minute, 30 seconds of saying that, he said, I will be the candidate that ends this conflict and prevents World War III. So that's had my hopes up. Atlanta said, used to be God was the center of the home, ended 30 to 40 years ago. Now all these homes are broken. The family's gone to pot because there's no God. People don't even believe in God. They don't even think about him. They don't even consider their own fate in the afterlife. I mean, one of the frustrating things is when you deal with someone who is what I call kindly to them, that they're fatalists. They're fatalists, and that's not an insult. It's where they say whatever will be, no matter what I do, is not going to change anything. It's being a fatalist, but that's where I tell them that because I want to continue to have a relationship with them, so I can talk about the good book. I could talk about Easter. I could talk about the impact religion has had on progress in the world, peace in the world, how it's positively affected people's mental health. And if I didn't want to have a conversation with them, I'd just call them an atheist. A fatalist is a nice way of calling someone a non-believer. So, but I always try to keep the door open whenever I can. That's right, Red. Ironically, they all believe in the devil. Gary says security for Mr. T was for somebody, in his opinion, that's still in charge. Yes, I tell you, I've heard that, like with the ambulance that went down during the indictment that was in Mr. T's motorcade. People have said that's reserved for presidents, but a billionaire can make sure an ambulance goes with him on a trip. But there are signs, and his behaviors certainly do exude confidence. And confidence breeds confidence. A scared populace will turn to a confident leader, even if they don't like that leader. If they're scared and he's confident, they'll like him. Ian says, Lindsey Graham, was that Lindsey? A similar event to September 11 soon. That may be the case. Yeah, they keep on protecting Biden, Mary says. Thank you, Mary, for buying the coffees. I appreciate it. Brandon's Easter egg sniff. Wanda says, I saw on Fox a guy asked if he was transferring power peacefully. That I believe that was an old clip, Wanda. I think that was an old clip. They were asking if he would transfer power peacefully. That was back in. I remember the clip you're talking about. That was in 2020. Let me see. Everybody's agreeing with Kim. Let's see what Kim said. Wait a minute. There we go. Yes, organized religion did more harm than good in teaching the word. Tennessee. Yeah, that's right. They call him Auntie Lindsay. How a human can claim that they're the only one that can remedy great world conflicts. Only the Creator has that power. Well, Yeah, yes and no. And is the Ukraine conflict uh, a great world conflict? It is really a regional conflict. If you see a map of Ukraine and look at it compared to the size, scope, and breadth of Russia, it's really a small conflict. Ukraine is not very large of a nation, and it has always historically been that territory has either been all or in part owned by Russia, or you've had parts of it going to Poland or Germany for the last 1,000 years. It's never been a nation called Ukraine until the fall of the Soviet Union in 1990. Then they started agreeing to allow Ukraine territory to have autonomy. So it's not a big world power. But then Gary comes back with one man led the Israelites out of Egypt. That's exactly right. Wanda says continuance. Doesn't that mean I I I see what you're saying, Wanda. They're talking the continuity of government, and we could very well be under that. The COG, continuity of government. So, oh my gosh, Vicky. Yes, hi. How are you, Vicky? I got that. I got that in these news articles. I'm pulling up the Dalai Lama. Those you trust the most, right? Oh my gosh, somebody fell on Blumenthal at Easter parade and broke his femur. Yikes. Georgia said, don't you all think he is the chosen one? He very well could be. He is made statements that people can call them predictions if they want to, but I call them statements of fact because they're all been correct. They've all been correct. I'm just scrolling through the chats a little bit, folks. So, yeah, the Dalai Lama, I don't know how you get out of that, what he did. A very gross behavior. And I watched the video, and the boy was about 8 years old. 8 years old, and uh, he tells him to suck his tongue, and he sticks his tongue out right there in front of everybody on video. And very, very obnoxious, and I don't see any getting around that stuff. How he's going to come out of that. But I tell you, this situation with that I was talking about with the what happened in Kentucky, and then you put that in with how this has been shoved into the spotlight on many fronts. You have the situation with the Bud Light. I guess that's one way to wake up a segment of the population. And then you have this situation with women's sports. Women's sports. And I said last week that the immediate answer to that is if you are in women's sports, if it's a high school level, state level, professional level, whatever, do not participate. It's not a fair competition. They're cheating already. So don't play their game. I said that. And sure enough, this report was a transgender cyclist was booted from women's championship after the female competitors threatened a boycott. A biologically male cyclist, now identifies as a female, was barred from competing in women's championship race this weekend following threats of a boycott from females. So good. He's out. He's gone. And they can have their competition and not worry about it. So that needs to be put around as the strategy. And the thing about that, it is not a contact sport, cyclists. I would much rather see them very strongly stay out of competition when there's males involved with these contact sports. You're getting women hurt very seriously. Just this last weekend, a woman had her skull cracked by some kook that went in and brutalized her. That's a woman beater. That's what we used to call them, women beater. You're a woman beater. That was an insult. A wife, you call somebody a wife beater, I mean, that was a insult. And that's what you have, a woman beater. And all the women in that sport, if they see, especially contact sports, where someone could be very seriously injured, they should stand in solidarity and back out. Just say, no, I'm not competing. This is insane. Ha ha, Red says girl cot. Ha ha. That's right, Red. That's what we'll call for, girl cot. Well, they can boycott the boys. Sprite jumped on the bandwagon with Budweiser. Oh, boy. Sprite's Coca-Cola. Kid Rock's got his own beer. Outlander says. Hanging says, feed the Gitmo. Feed me, Morse. So, yeah, that's the answer to that. The immediate answer, the long-range answer, has got to be hammered out down the road. But for their own physical safety and to make a point, they have to just, as natural women, they just have to boycott it, girlcott it, whatever. There ain't going to be an event, okay? If you're going to have that guy here, they ain't going to be an event. Let's see. Where does the money go when Anheuser-Busch falls? I don't know. Well, they say BlackRock's been backing that up. I heard a report that Rock That's Black is declaring bankruptcy, but then I also heard that they're buying a bunch of Anheuser-Busch stock and made the stock go up today. That's right, Papitude Bears. The sleepers have been activated, been sent a signal. It's a spiritual war. Red's going to join T-ball. Gary says everything has come out to be seen by now, and if you don't see by now, you choose not to. Well, there, as the 17th letter said, you've got where the family is intact, where you have a husband and wife, they both have to work. The dollar has been structured and weakened in such a way that starting in the 70s, Mom had to go get a job, and they started doing school lunch program, and where mom didn't pack the lunch anymore. They even went to the point to say, we don't want mom to pack the lunch. It's not allowed. They took mom's lunch and threw it in the trash and made them eat the school lunch. And we know for a lot of reasons that school lunches, one, aren't healthy, and two, that it's a racket. The people involved are fleecing the school systems for a lot of money for a bunch of cheap garbage food. So we know it's a monetary racket, but it also diminishes uh, motherhood. My mother used to make our lunches when we went to school. That was when lunch boxes with thermoses were a big deal. Lone Ranger, uh, the $6 million man, things like that. But no, it's all been destroyed. Mom had to get up, leave the house, and go to work. Now it's got to the point where forget about having your lunch packed by mom. You can just pick up the phone, get a cup of coffee. Red will tell you that. They don't tip you even when they do that. They don't respect work. They don't feel people should be tipped. Georgia says it's all poison. Make your own beer and soda if you want it. Yeah, that's right. It's sugar water. Sugar water. Karen said, "Did you see that trans weightlifter get beat by a man?" And he said, "Not fair." She, shim was a shim. But yeah, it's not that people don't want to see it. It's just that they're so harried on a hamster wheel, running on a hamster wheel to pay their mortgages. And I've been over that in the past, how they take people's mortgages and they build everything into monthly payments. The property tax on the house, the insurance payment on the house, private mortgage insurance, plus the interest. And all they care about is the monthly payment. And well, if you don't realize how much money per month you're giving your county or town for your property taxes, that's when they really go crazy, and it starts going up and up and up, and the pressure gets higher and higher and higher. And pressured and harried people cannot look inside themselves. They can't take the time to connect with their family members because they're either watching something on television that's poison to the brain, or they're worried about something. They're sitting contemplating what they're going to do about a constant problem. It is the mental version of an emotional version of fight or flight. There is no path to peace and quiet and inflection. Let's see. Can I say a crash is incoming? I would say so. Tennessee said they come to him, the sleepers, and they will sleep forever. Hi, Cindy. How are you? Well, the dollar. Ian's talking about the dollar. It's writing is on the wall. They are running from the dollar in the Eastern Bloc, in the Eastern European blocks. They're running. Georgia says it all comes down to minds being captured. That's right. Well, people don't realize that when they give their control of their lives to someone else and they trust others to manage the big picture, that they're going to get taken advantage of. It's just like letting somebody walk into your house, unlocked house, and go, well, they're trustworthy. They're an official. They are official person. And you come home and your cabinets are empty and your refrigerator's been raided. Vicky says, yeah, $5,000 a year, Vicky's talking about in rent. I mean, taxes, property tax. It's insane. How much is that a monthly payment? So it's paying rent to a county, and it did not used to be that way. Taxes used to be an incidental expense. Now you have enough. You give them every year for the privilege of living in your own home. You're giving them enough money where you could buy a car. Hi, Rick. Nice to meet you. So anyway, we what's going on is overwhelming. When we know what's going on, we're feeling overwhelmed. So can you imagine when normal people start to have a mass awakening, what they're going to have to process through their minds? Look how hard it is for us to process what's going on and try to keep track of it. Just focusing on this one issue of people trying to decide what gender they are. Look how many problems what's happened in society with these mass bangs at schools and now bank and 4th of July parades and everything like that. All of them are tied back to people are confused about the roles of a man and a woman. And why the fans of these women's sports, why the fans don't stand up and say something. If you are a fan of a fighter that gets their eye socket broken, there should be maybe there are complaints, but nobody cares. Nobody passes them on. It's just like this situation with WW3. Mr. T is ringing the bell and warning everybody, but nobody's reporting what he's saying. $11 checks returned to sender today. My gosh. Sorry to hear that, Nikki. I've had that happen in the past. Yeah, Outlandish said your house is paid off. That's over $300 a month. Those without actually useful skills are trapped. That's right, a Google account. Well, they take all the manufacturing and steered away from this country. All the manufacturing jobs. The only thing that's left is service work because we don't make our own stuff anymore. We don't teach trades anymore. Houses are made out of plastic and gypsum. We don't have master craftsmen or industrial manufacturing or anything like that where people can learn a trade. How can you put food on the table? That's right, Google account. They already have. They've streamlined debt collections for people. An upside down world, outlandish, bizarro world. And people are going to have to try to absorb how to get out of this maze of misery. This maze of misery. We had another incident Andy No reported on, and when we see it in Portland, we kind of expect it. But wait a minute now. It happened in Portland on Easter Sunday. A taxi driver was brutally stabbed to death in Portland. Police delayed releasing the suspect's name and avoided pronouns or providing much information. I investigated. The suspect is Moses J. Lopez, and it is a trans person. And I'm looking at a picture right here of somebody with a 5 o'clock shadow for a mustache and a beard. You can see it. And they're dressed like a lady, a girl. And they stabbed somebody to death. So chances are, when the frustration, the unnatural condition starts to bubble up and take its toll and make life unbearable for the person that is trying to live in a manner that they are not, a lot of them are going to not just turn it inwards by taking their own lives, like 70% of them used to do. Now 44%. A lot of them are going to lash out at others. The one that happened at the church school, Audrey, she knew she was not going to survive that. She wanted to end her own situation and chose to do what she did. So you're going to see a lot more of that, not just people committing you-know-what-aside. You're going to see a lot more taking other people with them. And then you have to think about the ones that pay attention to the news. If they do something heinous like that, like they did to that taxi driver in Portland, and the police don't take them out, they'll get put in a woman's prison for the rest of their life. Talk about a captive audience. Let's see. Vicky had her PMA go down from a loan modification. That's good. Yeah, you got to keep up with what's the best way to do it. It's the people that don't take the time to think about how they're being taken advantage of. It's like it was said, people that didn't want to participate in the American Revolution, go home then. Go home and live comfortably in your chains, okay? But I am going to be free. Gary says, questioning gender to show how far down the rabbit hole the programming has gone. Well, and also how far that people have strayed from the word. What the Salvation Army song, throw out the lifeline, throw out the lifeline. Somebody's drifting away. Y'all remember that? Throw out the lifeline. We're trying to throw lifelines out to people. But if you have a rudimentary respect for the word and for the presence and the factual nature of a divine creator, you can't be programmed. Respect for God. Adam and Eve didn't have respect for God's word or fear enough of God's word. That's what it boiled down to. The serpent's whisper. I'm way behind in the chats. My goodness. That's right, Georgia. I trust the Lord. I'm able to live free. Oh my gosh, Melinda, that's tough. You don't have the car and you still have to pay. Try to cut a deal, negotiate a deal. Gary said you give out free trade school education today, and the kids won't even go to learn. That's where we're at today. Well, they're learning acceptance like this. What's his name with the beers? Dylan. Look at all the money he's gotten success for being a Fruit Loop. That's what we used to call them, Fruit Loops. And well, doesn't seem like there's a lot of work in that, a lot of responsibility in that. It is not a positive thing being projected to be manly, okay? To be able to tote that barge and lift that bale. That's not manly anymore. It's not manly, it's not attractive, is what they put out. What's acceptable and successful and attractive is a blend of the two. I noticed that in the 90s when every single commercial you saw on TV was making fun of the husband, making fun of the guy in the commercial. And I'll tell you when I really knew we were in trouble. That's right. Falafel and learning how to be gay. I'll tell you when I thought we were in trouble. Back in the 1990s, I never watched much TV. I never have. I mean, for me, TV was when you were waiting for the school bus, watching the Flintstones and stuff like that, and that's the end of it, you know. When they did that show called Friends, I was at somebody's house and they were watching it, and the storyline shocked me. It was one of the characters, his wife left him for another woman, and they had already had a baby, and or had conceived. And then it came to be that his wife wanted to be with another woman. And the male said, well, I'm not sure I could be part of this family. And the two women, his wife and this other woman, Oh, yes, you can. We can be a family. This was in the 90s. So when it came to my television, that show never came on. I couldn't tell you the characters' names. I know of Jennifer Aniston because she gets plastered or used to be plastered all over the place. I didn't think she was much of all that anyway. But other than that, I could not tell you a character of that show, Friends. And I did not watch that because it promoted a lesbian relationship and kicked the father out of the situation for a child to be raised by two women. That was one of the early shows. So let me see what I'm missing. If I didn't get a chance to say hi to anyone, please forgive me because it's hard for me to remember who I've always said hi to. Hi, Lucy. That's right, Georgia. Fear is reverence. How can a person have reverence if they don't know him? How can they have reverence for the Lord if they don't know him? So, yeah, Gary, I remember saying the Pledge of Allegiance. We're taught about God and programming is love and respect your neighbor. That's exactly right. So we've all saw it coming. We've all saw it coming. And Falafel agrees with me on that show I was talking about. It was about getting rid of the male figure in life. Miss Bendersue, how are you? What fear means? FEAR, Miss Bendersue? I can't remember. I don't know what you're getting at, honey. Fear is, well, like Georgia said, reverence, respect. There's a fine line between respect and fear. But I tell you, people that don't care about what's going on and they don't care about uh, whether or not there's a God, and they dismiss people who talk about. There's a saying that the absence of love is indifference. Indifference. I mean, if someone takes the trouble to be angry at you, uh, they're at least you mean something to them. If nobody even looks at you or walks past you like you're a ghost, they have absolutely no could. If you could fall off a cliff, they wouldn't laugh, they wouldn't cry, they wouldn't bat an eye. The absence of love is indifference, and so people who are indifferent to their lives and their future, the lives of their children, there's an absence of love. If they're indifferent about all these things that are going on in life. Fear equals false evidence appearing real. Well, that's one way to look at it, Melvita. And Tennessee says facing every action responsibly. That's a good way to look at it. But the only thing to fear is fear itself, is what we've famously been told by FDR during World War II. But the Lord told us, be not afraid. But we can be concerned, and we can try to communicate to one another. I really think this business of oh my gosh, I just saw a picture of the Dalai Lama again, of what is happening with this community, so-called community, needs to be focused on by the news media, that this is provokes violence. Okay, it is a dangerous condition for people to be in. Now I want to ask the chats a question. Before I went live, I saw where Citizen Free Press put out for immediate release, the White House, Washington, April 10th, 2023. On Monday, April 10th, 2023, the president signed into law HJ Resolution 7, which terminates the national emergency related to the COVID-19 pandemic. It looks like it's written with a IBM typewriter. But did you all hear that today? That the White House released a statement saying the pandemic was over? And I also understand, it's my understanding that there are some actions that will be taken once certain state of emergencies are lifted. I don't know if this is a marker or not. Y'all haven't heard that? That's what I heard about 10 minutes before I went live. And I the only one I've heard it from, but I haven't been able to do any research. Now we know, we'll find out, we'll find out. So I'm going to go live again tomorrow night. We're going to talk about a lot of other stuff. What we've learned from the Tennessee legislature. I know that they're trying to turn that around by kicking that guy out, but we're going to talk about that more tomorrow. It's showing the American people how much power their state legislatures actually have for what happens in your own life when these people cannot look at you, your state representatives, and act like things are out of their hands. Okay? Don't fall for that. And Nikki said there was a new variant out today. Well, they've been trying to put different ones out over and over and over again. We're not going to fall for it. We're not going to take it anymore. So we got to be careful. FBI flags slang words, terms, Chad-based red pill. It's over to target racially motivated violent extremists. So the FBI has put some more words on lists that we all got to look out for. So, but we're doing pretty good, gang. And I appreciate you spending your precious time with me. Let's look into this business of did the White House declare that over with today or not? Okay, April 10th. That will be interesting, and we're going to keep an eye on what Mr. T has to say and what the developments are. But thank you for spending your precious time with me. I'll be talking to you tomorrow. This is Mountain Man, over and out.